This morning in our series, we call it School Matters, we're taking a look at racial inequity in education. Test scores show the achievement gap between students of color and their white classmates widens as high school graduation approaches. Adriana Diaz is at one high school in suburban Chicago where a diverse community struggles to find equality in the classroom. Adriana can't wait for this. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Gail. Oak Park, Illinois is one of those communities that prides itself on being diverse and progressive. People move here because of that. So this might be where you least expect racial inequalities at school. But as they explained in a new docu-series, some students who go to school here tell a different story.
One thing about being a kid of color in the American school system is definitely just everything is stacked against you.
Some kids have that mindset growing up. They can be like 10 growing up, like the world doesn't see me as worthy.
I've always noticed the racial makeup of my classes and how being in more advanced classes, like there are definitely more white students.
Charles Donaldson, Grant Lee, and Caroline Roebling-Grice all say racial inequity exists at their school, where cameras followed them for the Starz docu-series America to Me, beginning in 2015.
A lot of people are talking about it around the school, and I think like maybe every day, like maybe 2 to 3 new people come up to me.
Oak Park River Forest High School is in an upscale and progressive Chicago suburb that prides itself on embracing diversity.
We've seen a lot of films and a lot of focus on poor, besieged communities, public schools with no funding, violence in the community. But what's going on in a place like Oak Park, where a lot of those more obvious obstacles to education and equity are kind of eliminated?
Director Steve James is from Oak Park, and his 3 children went to the school. Much of his work explores racism and adversity, including the critically acclaimed Hoop Dreams in 1994. America to Me is the first time he's covered similar themes in his own neighborhood.
When you are dealing in a very liberal community where people feel like they have a tremendous amount of self-awareness and sensitivity, then it brings to the fore the ways in which we are not as sensitive as we may think we are.
Where is 230?
The series captures universal teen trademarks.
Who's looking for 230?
Getting lost as a freshman. That was him. And high school crushes.
That was
But phrase in the school's diverse racial tapestry quickly come into focus. Some black and mixed race students say they feel like outsiders.
I knew that the school wasn't in a sense for me. All the white kids, they know that they never have to question whether or not they should be here.
Inequity also appears in the numbers. White students at the school scored an average of 33% higher than their black peers on standardized tests in 2016. What did you think of the series when you saw it?
Had a lot of emotions.
Principal Nathaniel Rouse was against the docuseries from the start, but the school district voted to let the show go on.
There's a concern and perception out there that all of our students are struggling. Those lived experiences are real and we need to work on those. But again, that's just simply not the story of all of our students. I think that what is unique about us is our willingness and attempt to address those issues with action-oriented opportunities.
Beyond interactions with teachers, America to Me also documents how students interact with each other.
Whether it's in the lunchroom or certain clubs or teams, like cheerleading, to see it up close and to sort of see the ways in which kids sort of segregate themselves was eye-opening.
I almost cried when EVE died.
Just being diverse, like some people think, oh, that solves the problem. Like, oh, we're all living together. But no, you know, some people are living and some are like just barely surviving.
I think the truth is that racism and supremacy is no longer legal, so it kind of just happens behind closed doors and is underlying, but it's still very present.
Even at a school like this, as diverse as this.
Yeah.
How do you think schools should fix this kind of problem?
I definitely think there needs to be more talks, focus on trying to stop that institutionalized racism. And it's not only in the high school, you need to go back to elementary school, back to the middle schools, because that's where those things can form in some people's heads. There needs to be curriculums and things taking place that can form better equity, because it's never going to be perfect, but we can at least try.
The students told us they know these are difficult conversations to have, but that they're necessary to have. They've actually gotten together for watch parties to view the series. Now, the students, the school, and the filmmaker told us they know that these issues aren't unique to Oak Park, but they of course plague many parts of the country. John.
Adriana, thanks, and that's what, of course, makes it powerful, is it's not just a unique case. I thought Grant Lee, when he said, the world doesn't see me as worthy.
Me too. It gave me a goosebump. And I like Caroline, who said, listen, it still exists, we just don't talk about it, and we do have to talk about it. That's why I think something like this is so important, because it makes people so uncomfortable, because no one wants to be labeled a racist. But until you have the conversation that there are some differences that make us all unique, and that it's okay, the differences are okay.
The phrase institutionalized racism. We talk about how these things are systemic, they are pervasive, and you don't even realize that they exist, that you're treating kids differently by some unconscious bias that you have. You have to talk about it. You have to point out the details and the data that they're scoring 33% less than white students. That's a problem. That's a problem.
And it is great to see
that can be corrected too.
Yes.
And the filmmaking has its power, because you see what it looks like when you're a student of color moving through a hallway in which you have your own lane, where you are not a part of the mix, but you are, and that is so powerful to see it and experience it rather than just hear it.
And it's awful to be at a place and you don't feel part of the community, especially at that age. That's a very debilitating thing. So bravo to Charles, to Grant, and Caroline for speaking up the way they do. Really smart kids.
And now this Green Beret put his life